Hi, everybody. We're getting started here in a few minutes. Just so hang tight. Thank you. All right, it is now 1 o'clock. Welcome everyone to the Geospatial Online Transportation Users Group webinar. This is a quarterly webinar that we host. So for today, we will have a technical presentation given by David Renils, showing dashboards in AGOL. He will show how Iowa takes plow images in a usable format to help not only DOT staff, but other partners like schools and National Weather Service. He'll show concepts for road conditions and costs associated with the operations. Afterwards, we'll be having a question and answer session. And we're also going to give an overview of what GOTUG is before we give that presentation. So the key people in GOTUG are myself, Jeremy Aycock, Caitlin Marousas of Utah DOT, and our AASHTO liaison, Penelope Weinberger. GOTUG is the Geospatial Online Transportation Users Group. It began as an AASHTO innovation initiative started by Utah DOT, and we ended up getting a steering committee together consisting of Caitlin, myself, Eric Abrams with Iowa DOT, Andrew Wimsatt with Texas Transportation Institute, Nicole Hansen with Idaho Transportation Department, Mark Sarmiento with the Federal Highways Administration, and Penelope Weinberger with AASHTO. So why do we have GOTUG? GOTUG was to maintain the momentum started with the UPlan AASHTO Innovation Initiative. UPlan is a tool for disseminating information across state agencies and other transportation agencies, and to marry business needs with innovative web-based geospatial solutions. So our resources, we have a website here that you can see and a distribution list. So you can sign up for our distribution list and get information about future webinars, and you can also propose webinars that we could host. So our goal basically is to increase the visibility of GIS and geospatial data issues, and also to be a technical resource group for all AASHTO members. So our future activities coming up very soon. We're having a webinar on June 5th, our next quarterly webinar, and then we're also going to be at the GIST conference on April 22nd to 26th. We should be having a discussion group there, so please join us if you see us on the agenda. All right, so without further ado, here is David Reynolds with Iowa DOT.
Let's see here. There we go. Show screen. Oh, there we go. I think that works. Can you see my presentation?
I can see it.
Can.
Oh yeah, cool. So let's talk about dashboarding. So first of all, what is a dashboard? I kind of took some of these sort of descriptions and definitions directly from Esri. So a dashboard is geographic information that helps you monitor events or activities, and it's designed to display multiple visualizations that work together on a single screen. So example is on the right. So there's many uses for dashboards, not only geospatial data, as I'll show you in some of my samples, but basically any data that you need to see for decision makers to be informed, to make decisions, maybe even monitor day-to-day operations in like a traffic management center. It also helps ensure all colleagues are focused on the same goal by using the same information. So for example, a good case or use case for this one would be for, I know many states have the zero fatalities initiatives. So maybe being able to map or to be able to show data like fatality statistics. Again, sort of being able to show the same data for the same goal for all your colleagues and even the public too. Some examples I threw together include monitoring health of systems, businesses, products, organizational teams, or campaigns, and also to be able to create key views of metrics that matter most to you. So something that matters to me might not matter to you as much. So the main requirement for dashboards, you don't have to have maps. The main requirement is that all data must be in feature or map services. It can be a table or it can be a feature class. It just has to be in a feature service. And the key reason for this is they use the REST API to do queries to get statistics and whatnot from REST services. Also required is appropriate field types. So you can't graph numbers that are in char fields. You have to have those as int or a float or a double. So some of the key elements, one when we talk Esri operations dashboard, include the header. So the header contains the title, subtitle, and selectors. So selectors are basically drop-down filters. So you can have those for date, so either a single date or a date range, category, and numbers. You can have map elements. So map elements are basically maps or web maps that you make in ArcGIS Online or Portal. Those can be, the map extents can actually be used as spatial filters for the other elements. So you can filter your charts and your indicators and gauges and some of your other elements based off of what you see on the map. Charts can be used for line and bar charts. Also pie charts can show trends in data. Indicators, sort of think of indicators as thumbs up, thumbs down type thing. You can do filtering based on, or you can show different, you can style them differently based on their values. So I'll show an example of that. Gauges sort of show, you can also do custom styling, sort of think of, I don't know, a speedometer. It's kind of like a gauge, a list, and details. So about us here at IODOT, we strive to use COTS as much as possible to get the job done. So that includes like ArcGIS Online, so Web App Builder, with Arcade, Operations Dashboard, REST services. We also use FME. I don't think we use any Python at all. We have done a little bit of custom development, but not too much. The reason is sustainability. We can't necessarily sustain. We don't have the knowledge and resources to be able to sustain custom written scripts. So now for some demo. Let's see here. So this is one of a dashboard that I threw together, I believe 2 years ago or so now. What this shows is this is actually a web app builder with a dashboard widget applied to it. So you can do some things. So this one actually shows bridges. So we update this on a daily basis from our bridge database. So you have filters up here, so you can filter by restrictions. And then you can also show conditions of the bridges. And all these update in real time as well. So I'll zoom back in to Des Moines. And so all these change when you pan the map, and then you can hover over one. Just these ones, hover over one to see the different selections change. Let's see here. So that's this sort of the web app builder. Here's another one I just found this morning. This one is from FEMA, showing their damage assessments that they're doing right now on the ground in Alabama. So as you pan around again, all these sort of metrics change and stuff. And you can filter those out. It's all about showing near real-time data in a simple platform. So I'm sure they have this up in their EOCs right now, just being able to monitor this. A good example for this, like a use case like this would be, I know for the feds, they do DDIRs. So maybe you had a bridge or some infrastructure damage on here on 27, on US 27, of if someone is out reporting in a survey 123 or collector, it could show up here in real time, and you would have, potentially you could even assign monetary values to it. So you could see what the value is if you're at the threshold for declaring a DDIR or not. Another use case we actually have here in Iowa, we just started working with local and also state law enforcement to tie what we call ping tags to damaged infrastructure. So for example, this is high tension guardrail. And so if we have someone that crashes into that, highly likely here this time of year with winter weather and driving, and the state patrol is out there, they tie a pink tag to the asset. Then when the DOT is driving by a supervisor, they can take photos of it, record it as damaged, and also add attribute information. This in turn not only goes back to the supervisors, but it also goes to our claims department to file insurance claims as well. And so this is a description details element. And so the nice thing with this is actually, this is one of the few ones that supports attached photos. So you can see attached photos without having to do any, again, this is not using any custom development at all. It's just using out of the box configurations. Let's see here. Okay, here's the one with multiple photos. You can see there's multiple photos. And then your list, so if I click on an inventory item, it'll zoom me to it, and it'll show me all the inspection records associated with that one asset. Let's see here. Some of our R&D type stuff that we've been working on in relation to winter operations. Let's see if it loads. Always a joy of doing live presentations. So these are embedded, I guess I'll just go over here. So these are actually embedded dashboards within a dashboard. So dashboards can also be used for nice packaging. So it's really nice and minimal. So you can have multiple applications that all relate to each other within a dashboard and just use the tabs at the bottom as embedded content. Whoops, wrong one, Prototype Lab. There we go. So while this one loads, this is our winter cost calculator historic dashboard. So we have the winter cost calculator, and then this one, which records the last 48 hours worth of data. This one is actually, we threw together so you can select your own storm. So the storm period from the 22nd of February through up to the 1st of February cost $3.1 million around there. And you can also filter it down by counties as well. And there's also a map behind the scenes, but with ArcGIS Online, since you can only load so many lines or so many records at a time, and there's more than 2,000, it's kind of slow. So this shows all the correct information without having to deal necessarily with the map. So let's see. Okay, so it looks like our dashboards that I threw together are slowly coming up. So this is basically taking all of our real-time plow location data and being able to show things such as average speed of the snow plows, active snow plows, things like the solid set or the solid rate and liquid rates, along with how many photos. You can also see road conditions by district. This one sort of shows return to normal. So basically, once a road segment leaves the seasonal state, so if it goes from seasonal to partially covered with snow, it'll start this. And so you can see most of the state has been unchanged in the last 2 hours, and looks like I guess most of the state is seasonal. There's some that are partially covered with snow still. You can do things such as seeing average by district or even average return to normal time by garage. And you can also see by district as well. So this kind of is able to operationalize what's being reported. So all this data comes, the road condition stuff, or all the road condition data comes from our 511 system. We parse it and push it to ArcGIS Online so we can put it in maps and stuff. We also do value added stuff, like being able to identify if it's improving or declining, or if it's unchanged, along with the time that it has been in that state. Resource usage, so this is basically what we have on the winter cost calculator, although visualized a little differently. So you can see 2, 3, and 48 hours. We have data for that gets updated every 15 minutes using FME. And so this is a pie chart showing the breakdown of how the money in the last 2 hours has been spent. Looks like the majority is between US and state routes and less on interstates and also ramps versus, let's see here, like 2 hours and 3 hours and 48 hours. Again, some just shows kind of what you can do. You can also do comparisons between, so for the last 48 hours, 712,000 pounds of salt and 50,000 gallons of brine have been put down. Let's see here. Real-time weather. Basically, we also parse out data from HRWIS sites. So you can see all this data comes from HRWIS with the exception of our 24-hour forecast, which comes from our weather vendor. And so here you have a selector where you can select county. So let's look here at it's got like Howard County. So you can see all the next 24 hours, what the forecast is going to be. And then also abnormal. So you can also do filtering within each one of these elements. The filtering you do on the map does not apply to the elements. The elements will show all the data, even if it's not on the map, and vice versa. So this is really cool, sort of showing our traffic operations data that we do. So the left side is our active message signs that we have up. And then we also have cameras by region, route, and camera view or map view. So as you can see, I'm zooming in. This list on the left is changing based on where I'm at. So it looks like there's a major backup on 35. And so we can zoom in closer to that and easily identify the cameras that are associated with it. You can also have them flash as well. Did I have? I guess I didn't have them set up to flash. So you can also do by regions. So if we want to look at just Ames, so we can filter by Ames region, or if we want to look at Des Moines, you can also do multiple selects, although I don't have multiple set up there. You can also select cameras by route. So if we just want to look at, for instance, I-35, you can select all the cameras on I-35 and see from, you can also sort them. So if these all had a milepost associated with them, we could sort them. So you can start at the top of the state and work all your way down to the bottom or south side of the state. And then this one we put together to be able to show plow health. So basically the last shows, or should show the last photo taken for each truck. I think it shows, it looks like most of the time. So each one of the photos in the last hour, there should be one photo per truck. So that's that. So then we can see things such as if they're not pointed correctly, like for instance this one, we can report that. They can straighten it out, or if it's blurry. And then we're also working on other metrics as well. And this one basically, I'll just ignore the sign in, but this one basically shows the last pass compared to the last updated date. So these should all be relatively 12/22 right now. So it looks like all these are well within the time frame, with the exception of the 2 hours, which is about 15 to about 20 minutes behind, it looks like now. So that might be having issues. This one was kind of thrown together so that we could easily and quickly see the status of our services, whether they're up and running or having issues when we have winter weather. Let's go back here. So some other, I guess, kind of things that came out of dashboarding that I took a look at. We have this one application called Mark that we created last year for supervisors. It's a mobile-friendly application that basically they can look through all the photos for their assigned garage. So I was looking at that and I'm like, oh, how can we improve it and make it easier? How can we make it for the public to be able to see photos by either a route or a county or a school district in some cases? So we have operations dashboard where you can filter by, for instance, I-35 North. You can see the photos in the last that were taken in the last hour. This is based on map view. So if I pan out, it will reset itself to all routes. And then you can also filter photos from the last 15 minutes, last 30 minutes, 45 minutes or an hour, see the number of snowplows we have on the route. Also, again, road condition change that we're monitoring as well. It's within this dashboard. And it's also sorted, so it goes 35 North. And this number is based on the number of snowplows that get assigned to the 35 North route, or that say that they're on 35 North. We also do sorting, so 168, 183, and 188, they're all in order. The county is pretty much the same way. You can sort by, for instance, Clay County. I don't want to see photos in. Or if we go Polk County, you can see all the photos from Polk County. And these lists are also dynamic, so if a county or a route doesn't have any photos on it, it won't show up in the list, which is pretty handy. And we also even included this little nifty thing that gets automatically, if we uncheck that, I guess it's this all. So we can also choose by, so I want to look at forecasts for Story County in the next 12 hours. You can see bridge temperature and also road temperature. And then we took that county one step further and we turned it into a school district one. We have been doing some work with school districts with AI type stuff. And so we decided, how can we help school districts determine or see conditions in their areas? So for instance, let's go Des Moines Independent Schools. So this will only show photos that are within the Des Moines Independent School District. And we also have again, we also included the forecasted road and bridge temperatures by selected county. So I have to select Polk. So now, if I'm a superintendent of a school or a transportation director, now I can see not only what the DOT is seeing at the state level, but also forecasted temperatures. We've also been potentially exploring including pulling in data from other sources, such as surrounding states, which we already have Nebraska and Minnesota snowplow camera images pulled in. We're also looking at potentially doing things such as county. So when you include county or even potentially city snowplows in this type of view, now you're also able to provide the superintendents a better operational type picture of what conditions are actually like without having to have them drive the school bus routes within their district to have school, to delay school, or to cancel school. There's also some other, you can integrate dashboard type widgets within Web App Builder. So this one, for example, is on our famous Tracklabell site, where you can see dollars spent over the last 2 hours by route type, and then also it's broken down by cost type as well. And then here you can see sort of some more charting. And then here is the speedometer type widget, where you can set it. So 51, if it goes over, I think it's like 500, it turns red. So some of that kind of styling also falls over into some of the other products as well. I started throwing these together last week, I think it was. Some of you guys might be really interested in this type of stuff. So ArcGIS Online only keeps data on an hourly basis going back 7 days, but it only shows within their usage 1 day. So I threw together this, the FME process behind it runs every night. So we'll only see up till I think 11 p.m. Yesterday. But it's a really good example to be able to show trends over time, not only in, lucky 2 weeks will work, not only for combine all the services together, so you can see yesterday we had a drop of 30,000 requests over lunch, but also as a trend over time. So here is a definite issue that we had on the 24th when he dropped from 288,000 at 1 p.m. to 183,000 at 2 p.m. and then back up to 256,000. So being able to identify trends. We can also do winter operations services for hourly requests as well. So I kind of have this split out by services and apps. So these are our highest usage apps and services. And then the big one of all, hey, it loaded. So this one includes, I started, I think it was Monday, I believe it was, pulling all 200 and some of our REST services out in ArcGIS Online and archiving usage stats for those. So you can come in here and you can say what have the usage for cameras been over the last 2 weeks, or all the data, to be able to see it. You can also do, in addition to that type of filtering, this more detailed level filtering. So you can filter with a date range. So I selected, let's go the 1st through the 4th. So you can break it down that way as well. And also for all of our applications, which I'm still working on. That gives you a good idea. And then potentially even beyond ArcGIS Online usage statistics of, this is our FME server stats that we're keeping tabs of. That gets updated again on a daily basis, but these are daily stats versus hourly. So you can see things such as successful jobs, failed jobs, total running time per day, average queue time for jobs with FME, the top jobs that took over 15 minutes on average to run, and the maximum times associated with them. Average running time by workspace, so you can see, and I can actually filter, these ones are filtered by, let's look at some more public ones, so our Midwest KML road conditions. guess these are not. Go back here. So I guess these ones are by minutes. So you can see sort of a trend. That one's holding stable versus this one. So maybe there was an issue over here. So these are some types of dashboards that can be used to chart all sorts of interesting metrics, system stats, or when databases are up or down, or how long, in this case, of do Python jobs or FME jobs take to run, or services are up or down. It's a good solid platform. We're looking at taking this potentially to the next level and pushing all the data into our big data store to be able to use additional dashboarding platforms such as Esri Insights to be able to show, to do much better data over time, especially with the hourly metrics, as it gets kind of pretty bogged down if you're to look at much more than probably a couple of weeks with 200 plus services and about that many more apps and maps as well. I think that was all I had. So if there's any questions.
Thanks so much, David.
Yeah.
So if there are any questions, if you could just type it into the chat box in the webinar, and we will read them out and try to answer them as best, or David will try to answer them as best as he can. I know I had one, David. So I was interested in learning a little bit more about how you use Web App Builder in conjunction with the dashboard maker. So you're saying that you can make a dashboard that has tabs under there, and then also kind of merge that into a Web App Builder that has tabs itself. So then you can have, it's almost like its own kind of website, tabbed out website.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that's a big thing that I really push, is being a JS professional and not being with IT. We're lucky to have our web team close, or work with them relatively closely. But for some of you guys that don't have that ability or capability to be able to make really, I guess, nice looking websites or whatnot, to be able to share stuff out, this is a really slick way. And even I was doing some prototyping, so it's really good for prototyping. If you have multiple applications that you're putting together and they're all kind of the same way, but maybe one or two things are tweaked on each one a little differently, is you can have, and that's actually what I did for Mark. So sharing one link out, you don't have to share multiple links each time you create a new application with that new ID, as you can just create a new tab, embedded content on there.
Oh, that's great.
And I really like how minimal it is too. So a lot of the other ones, they seem to take a lot of the screen real estate. This one only really takes the bottom, I don't know, 10th, if even that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give a minute or two for people to type out questions if anybody has any.
Also, too, the other really big thing that we have going for us here at the Iowa DOT is that we push all of our data out in the open. So all this data or I guess most of the data, with the exception of the usage statistics, are all public. By going to data.iowadot.gov, you can see all of our data sets. You can scroll down. All the winter stuff is on this Explore More Winter Apps page that we put together. Also, I guess you can do some dashboarding too, or a little bit, I guess, with the ArcGIS Hub. show metrics and stuff like that.
Very neat. All right. I haven't gotten any questions so far. David, if you
There
don't mind.
are two more
there are?
questions. Sorry, Jeremy. This is Penelope. I'm going to jump in. One is from Matt Fancher. Apologies if you missed it, but does the Iowa DOT do anything with the live display of plow activity on road center lines, basically showing when a plow was last there?
Yeah, so if we go to, so I'll go from our winter apps page. So if you click on the winter cost calculator, this shows, these are aggregated every 15 minutes, but you can actually see, if you click on a segment, you can see the time a plow was last on that segment.
And William Toman wants to know, how did you get the multiple tabs for dashboards?
So how you do that is you do, basically you do embedded, it's called embedded content. So I come in here, I'll create a new operations dashboard. You can do, it's called embedded, just an embedded content, and you can put your URLs there and then you can stack them up on top of each other. So there's one, so there's another one, and then I just click and drag it on top, and then you have labels at the bottom that you can rename here, tab 1 and tab 2. And you can do this with apps as well. So just use the, this is how we figured out to put apps on top of each other and use tabs, is you basically add the app URL here. I will say is, I do strongly suggest, seeing how they're moving forward with story maps, is to use HTTPS on everything and to keep it consistent so you don't have any mixed content between HTTP and HTTPS.
Okay, we have another question. How do you handle very rich data like crashes?
Oh, that's a good question. We're looking at doing, we haven't got access yet. We're working on getting access actually to our crash database right now. And so once we get that done, is we'll be pulling it over into our big data store and be able to do, push it up into insights and also operations dashboard. Along with, we do have some REST service out there, but it hasn't been updated since I believe last year. It's in our last data's from.
All right, I am now not seeing any more questions. Of course, there's only been a minute since the last one was asked, so come on, people, get your questions in while we've got the expertise available.
Yeah, and you can always email me. My email is, so I'll put this over here really quick. I'm just david.rollins@iowadot.us. Cool, thank you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna switch it back to Jeremy.
Yeah, I'll get this thing back. There we go. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending this webinar. We will have a copy of it on our GoTobe website soon. And if you want to contact any of us, our contacts are up here on the screen. And I want to thank David again for his presentation on dashboards in ArcGIS Online. Have a good day.